Amen.
I
pledge
pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Dressel.
Here.
Mrs. Hodge. Here. Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Paul.
Here.
Mr. Timmons.
Here.
Mr. Villamagna.
Here.
Mr. DiLoretto.
Here.
All members of council is here and accounted for. Mrs. Hahn.
I move that we accept the minutes of August 1st, 2017.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and second that the minutes of August 1st, 2017 be approved as presented. Roll call.
Mr. Dressel.
Aye.
Mrs. Hodge.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Timmons.
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna.
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto.
Aye.
So moved. Minutes accepted. Petitions and communications, Madam Clerk. We will now move into the ordinances and resolutions before City Council this evening. And we'll start off with ordinance number 2017-58 by the Service Committee, Mr. DiLoretto, Mr. Johnson, Ms. Hahn for its third reading.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to make application for a grant from the Ohio Public Works Commission to be used towards funding the City of Steubenville JEF-SR 43-4.21 Sunset Boulevard and Lovers Lane Intersection Improvement Project, PID number 90235, City Project number 2010-131, and to execute contracts as required.
You heard the reading of ordinance number 2017-58. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state their name and address.
Question?
If not, members council.
Question?
Roll call.
Mr. Dressel.
Aye.
Mrs. Hahn.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Timmons.
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna.
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto.
So move ordinance number 2017-58 fully adopted. Ordinance number 2017-59 by the Service Committee, Mr. DiLoretto, Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Hahn for its third reading.
Ordinance number 2017-59. An ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to make application for a grant from the Ohio Public Works Commission to be used towards funding the City of Steubenville Wilshire Boulevard Waterline Replacement Project. City project number 2017-115 and to execute contracts as required.
You heard the third reading of ordinance number 2017-59. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state your name and address. If not, members council. Roll call.
Mr. Dressel.
Aye.
Mrs. Hahn.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Timmons.
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna.
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto.
So move ordinance number 2017-59 fully adopted. Both ordinance number 2017-59 and ordinance number 2017-58 will be in effect on September 8th. We will now move to resolution number 2017-62. And I would like to call to council's attention on the tentative agenda. We said ordinance number 2017-62. However, it's a resolution. And if you notice on the top of the resolution, it says ordinance. If you would change that to resolution number 2017-62. And we will be adopting this resolution by roll call. Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2017-62. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Mr. Paul.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. I'll make a motion, or, roll call, yes.
Oh, Mr. Dressel?
Aye.
No. We need to make a motion.
Wait, I make a motion that we accept resolution number 2017 dash, I took my glasses off. 62.
It's been regularly moved to second that resolution number 2017-62 be adopted by roll call. Before we call the roll, because this is pertaining to the certifying of the tax for the tax commission to the county, I will ask if there's any comments on resolution number 2017-62. Please come forward, state their name and address. There's no comments from the public. Question has been called. Roll call.
Mr. Dressel?
Aye.
Mrs. Han?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Timmons?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Violetta?
So moved, or resolution number 2017-62 be adopted. And I would like to remind council that we will certify this and Mr. Lewis will deliver it to the county within this week. That will conclude the ordinances and resolutions before City Council this evening. We will now move to the report of committees, and we'll start off with Mr. Dressel.
Nothing to see.
Thank you, Mr. Dressel. Mrs. Hahn?
Yes, I wanted to just make a couple of comments. We had a really fantastic meeting on the marina this past week. Andrea Ireland was able to draw together 3 different representatives from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, 2 from the Army Corps of Engineers, 1 lady from the Ohio EPA, and there were at least 3 representatives of Jefferson Soil and Water, to just talk through what would be involved in developing the marina, trying to redo the boat ramps, possibly being able to appeal to developers to see if they could build a structure in the upper part or even over the wall, and just addressing various things. And what came through in a way that really encouraged us, those of us that have already been working on this for some time, is they're interested in really assisting us. They're not there primarily to be a roadblock. They said, we want to help walk you through the process. If you don't need a permit, we're going to tell you. And I just think overall it was very encouraging. So we have a lot of work to do and we have a lot of funds to raise, but I thought it was just a fabulous meeting. The mayor was able to give a lot of historical background to the property, and I think it was very encouraging. So hopefully you'll hear more things in the future. Also, I wanted to mention that Worcester is going to be the location for the Heritage Ohio presentation on the step-by-step process of doing downtown revitalization. And if anybody is particularly interested, I'm planning to go. I'm going to drive over for the day, and I would be really happy to fill my car with anybody, any council members, anybody in the public who wants to go. I have to double check. I think it's $25 for the day, and that includes, and no, I guess we're on our own collect. So I think $25 is for the conference. I think it would be a fabulous conference to go to. And Judy Bratton is hoping to go, and hopefully we'll have some others. So that'll be early September. I can give you the date and details next week. So moving forward.
Thank you, Mrs. Hahn. We'll continue on with committee reports to Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor. I have 2 pieces of legislation on like the sunshine, out of planning, an ordinance authorizing the demolition of 438 South 4th Street, 442 South 4th Street, 450, 452 South 4th Street, and 547 South 4th Street. And an ordinance authorizing the vacation of an unnamed alley between 4th and 5th Street. And also, I want to remind everybody that the walking tour of Pleasant Heights will be on Monday at 1:30. We're meeting at Veterans Park.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We'll continue on with committee reports to Mr. Wall.
Yes, Your Honor. I have one on August 22nd. I would like to call a Finance Committee meeting at 6:30. Good. 6:30 on August 22nd. I'll be here in council chambers. Also, the mayor is requesting all council members. Let me put my glasses on. Forgetting to do this. It's regarding the Port Authority, and he's requesting our approval to reappoint the following person to the Port Authority Board, and that would be Dr. Ed Florak, 434 Scenic Drive. His term will expire 2021. I make a motion we accept Dr. Florak's nomination.
Second.
It's been really moved to second that we reappoint Dr. Ed Florak of 434 Scenic Drive, term to expire 2021, to the Jefferson County Port Authority. Roll call.
Mr. Dressel?
Aye.
Mrs. Klein?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Timmons?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Violetta?
Aye.
So moved, motion carried. Once again, I would like to thank the members of council for accepting the nomination or reappointment that is recommended by my office. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Florak for his service so far on the Port Authority, and looking forward for the continuing working relationship with the city of Steubenville. And we will here shortly hear from the executive director of the Port Authority, Mr. Evan, and I believe Dr. Florak, you could recall, I gave all members of council about 2 weeks ago a copy of some minor changes, but important changes to the Port Authority's bylaws. And according to the bylaws that was original adopted, both the county and city governments need to approve any changes to the bylaws. So we'll be hearing that presentation here shortly. Anything further, Mr. Paul?
Nothing this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. We'll move on to Mr. Timmons.
Nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Timmons. Mr. Bill Magna.
Nothing this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Magna. Mr. Diaretta.
Short report, Kim, good luck with the railroads. That's all I'm going to tell you. I dealt with them, and a lot of red tape, and a lot of waste of time. First of all, I want to thank the administration for the new fence down Bailey Park, new basketball courts, a long time coming. Also, we got a new fence down at Lincoln and Wilson. And as usual, I want to thank Jody Glob for cutting the grass. He also hired Bowers Landscaping in the front of the park, year in and year out, cuts the grass for us free of charge. Also, Dave Allball uses his own tractor, uses his own gas, cuts the rest of Bailey Park. So I got one more little project is, that's the cut the weeds by the creek, so next year I can plant some grass. And Bailey Park isn't used very much, but it's also very cheap for the city, almost at no cost at all. So we're having a big reunion down here, probably the last one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diaretta. That will conclude the report of committees from the members of council. Before we move on with the report of the administrative officers, I do want to take this opportunity, first of all, to ask Mr. Paul and ask the clerk to facilitate the proper notice for the Finance Committee meeting on August 22nd at 6:30.
Yes, sir.
However, if I could have a part of that agenda that evening, I would like to talk to the members of council and go through the process of the renewal for our 5 mil operating levy. I don't know if that was going to be part of that agenda or not.
I could make it.
Please do.
How much time do you need? Half hour? No, I'm serious.
I'm just saying, 5 minutes really.
Okay, well then
it's going to be the kickoff.
I'll make that part of the agenda. I wasn't trying to be smarter than you.
Okay.
No, I wasn't. I was not.
Well, why do you say I have diarrhea in the mouth?
I never said that.
Anyhow, I did want to inform the members of council, my office is gearing up for the 5 mil operating levy that will appear on the November 7th ballot. I think all members of council actually realize the importance of this renewal. Again, we have 2 funding sources for our general fund. One of them is the wage tax, 2%. The other one is the 5 mil operating levy. The 5 mil operating levy generates about $633,000 annually for the city of Steubenville. What I have provided, and the figures were verified, created through the finance office, Mr. The percentage of what goes to the police department, fire department, general operating, street department, municipal court, recreation, planning, lighting, and the effect this has on the general fund. Mind you, our general fund is about $13.5 million. In 2017, we're projecting $633,000. May not sound like a lot of dollars to the general fund, but it has a drastic impact. And at the Finance Committee, I would like to explain to the members of council so we can move forward with a committee. And talking about a committee for our 5 mil renewal, again, anybody interested in serving on a committee, and I am looking for a treasurer. Our treasurer has other duties that usually assist us through this renewal and our wage tax levy, renewal 7/10 and 3/10 but I'm looking for people to volunteer to help promote this, and if they can contact me or my office, I would appreciate that. That will take care of that item. The other item at this time, under economic development, if it's okay with the chairman, Mr. Bill Magna, I would like to call on Evan Scotty, I believe he's going to recognize Dr. Thorak, but for the presentation, the explanation of the amendments, and afterwards, if we can have a motion to agree to the amendments, second, we'll have a vote. Mr. Evan or Dr. Thorak, either one.
Thank you, Mayor, Mr. Council. I believe you all have had opportunity to look at the document. I can take questions about the changes we're recommending, or I can walk you through every change, whatever would be your pleasure.
Mr. Dr. Thorak, with all due respect, we would love to hear. However, when I passed out the amendments to the bylaws, I indicated that they really weren't very significant as far as our role goes, but they were significant to the Port Authority and the operation and the selection of the seats, you know, how we move the seats and all. And I think everybody understood them, and they had a couple of weeks to review them. So does any member of council have a question for Dr. Thorak? If not, your task here this evening was rather pleasant and short.
Good.
Thank you.
Hold on. Mayor, can I say something?
Sure, absolutely.
I want to thank you for the time that you have put in already and the time that you're going to put on. I've seen that Port Authority work at the meeting, and it's an honor to serve with you, and it was an honor to appoint you again tonight. Thank you, Doctor.
Mr. Bill Magna, a motion is in order.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the changes. Second. Port Authority.
It's been regularly moved and seconded that City Council agreed to the amendments that were presented by the Jefferson County Port Authority for the changes in the bylaws. And by the way, before we hold the vote, the Board of County Commissioners, I believe, accepted those changes 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. Any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Dressel?
Aye.
Mrs. Han? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Timmons?
Aye.
Mr. Villaragna?
Aye.
Mr. De La Reta?
So moved. Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Bill Magna. Thank you, Dr. Thorak, and Mr. Skirby. Mr. Giroux?
Okay, I want to say something real short about Dr. Clark. That was great. We're talking about economic development. I got a building in my ward that's brand new. Have somebody want to get into it. I've been all the way from the congressman all the way down to me and can't get no cooperation to get someone in that bus station down there. All I get is excuses. So I've been every place. I'm frustrated. We're talking about making the downtown lively again. Well, there's one building that's accessible, it's brand new, but I'm frustrated. I'm done. So if anything you can do to put something in that building, I'd appreciate it. That'd help the cathedral out because they have a place to go eat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giroux. That will conclude my report. We will now move into our city manager, Mr. Mavermack.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted council to be aware of, I've been contacted Monday by a company that's interested because the moratorium that we had on marijuana facilities has expired, but I want council to think about it, and I'll be able to properly brief them next week. I asked them, you know, what they're basing this on is we're going to set up in Ohio several dispensaries. And they looked at the east bordering area, the eastern region here, as Steubenville being one of the hubs to dispense medical marijuana. Again, it's been passed by our state, and again, they're looking ahead here. The question I asked him, one, how many jobs would this employ here? It's 15 to 20, and the revenue source, they're trying to give me all the other information I need to know. But I'm more concerned is what issues may have concerned in other states that they have been involved in. So I just want council to start thinking about that. I'll have more information next Tuesday at council with statistical information. Yes, sir.
We could have a safety committee meeting also the 29th, would that be 22nd, today's 29th? You want to
If
do
you're,
that?
if you're
You
fine
have
with
more
that,
information?
then I'll give you more time to
Yes.
check with other state. Ray, what date's that, sir?
Well, can I, Mayor, the
I'm
29th?
checking.
The 29th is Tuesday, I mean, how much time would you, I mean,
Nothing's
we're going to
good.
have the police chief the stats and we just do the full safety meeting, you want 6 o'clock?
Yeah, that's.
That way you can update us on this.
And I'll have documents that I'll be able to get council.
29th, 6 o'clock, Mayor.
Jim, that's medical marijuana.
Yes, sir, that's, yeah. So, and Mayor, that's all I have to report for me at this time.
Thank you. What time did you say?
The 6 o'clock, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mavromatis. The clerk will also facilitate a notice for a safety committee meeting scheduled for August 29th, 6 p.m. here at council chambers. And we'll move on to our law director, Mr. Mastros.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mastros, and once again, we'd like to thank department heads for attending tonight's council meeting. Before we move into miscellaneous, I do have one other report as I'm trying to organize my papers up here. If City Council can recall, I had informed them of the day of action by the United Way scheduled for August 31st. I indicated to you that I had submitted 4 projects. The painting of the wall on Market Street that says Steubenville on it, right up above the Martin Luther King Center. Also trying to clear a path and an opening for the watering trough on Market Street. The cleanup of the marina, the weeds between the cracks and the lower deck. And also the painting of the underpass between Harding Stadium and Bob Evans. Looking at these projects, trying to organize it, the path to the watering trough really is going to take a tremendous amount of work, and that's going to be participation with our M&R department. But with everything else going on, that will have to probably be put on the back burner. But we shouldn't lose sight of that. The other 3 I would still like to move forward with, but quite frankly, we're extremely busy at this point in time. So I'm going to once again ask members of council, anybody that would want to help organize these projects with the Kate from the United Way, we have the volunteers. I understand through the United Way that Catholic Central, for example, the new principal there, gave them more than a handful, but quite a few students to volunteer. Might not be accurate with this count, but I believe they said like 200 from Central Illinois. But they have volunteers that are coming out, and I gave you an email from the executive director of the United Way saying that they have enough volunteers. What I need assistance is organizing the project, coordinating it with the city, seeing if we could get, if they need lunches if they're working all day long, if we need paint supplies, rollers, paint brushes, whatever, to prepare for this. So I would like to know by the end of this week if I could have some volunteers to help organize this. You'll be working with our possibly M&R. I know I mentioned this to our city manager, coordinating a lot through the city manager, and although we don't have deep pockets, I believe we can have a couple of dollars for paint or brushes that we may need. So once again, I'm putting that plea out to the members of council to work on those projects. With that, that will conclude my reports. We'll move to miscellaneous. Mr. Timmons.
Yes, I have a few items tonight. I just want to remind everybody that Mike Chadsey from the Ohio Oil and Gas Association will be at the Steubenville Revitalization Group meeting. That's Monday, the 14th, 6:30 at Fralick. So we'll just be talking about what Steubenville can do to welcome that industry a little more and just take any kind of questions that we have. As far as I've had some mixed reaction with the trash containers. And I've had several calls about from elderly or handicapped individuals talking about difficulties moving the containers. Now, I did recommend that they downsize and go to another size container. And A couple of them said that's just not going to work. Do we have any other suggestions or solutions for them?
Well, as was put out, this is anywhere from a 4 to 6 week process of one rolling out all these cans. You got approximately 6,400 cans that had to be distributed, which was done by contractors. I will tell you some mistakes were uncovered. They were put in places that there weren't accounts there. I personally talked to a 90-year-old lady today. So I am well aware of their concerns. And these are issues we will have to deal with on a case-by-case basis. Now, again, we had to start with one size can because, believe it or not, people misjudge what they need. So we started with the largest can, being the most popular with other communities have used that, and the success rate is on it. There are smaller cans that can be ordered, and what we are doing at this point is people that have called in, say, I'd like a smaller can, this is too large for me to handle. We will take the request and they will eventually be exchanged out. Now, you have individuals here, elderly people that are 80, 90 years old living by themselves, and clearly they just can't do that. And these are exceptions we're going to have to look at and make and work in with that. But this is just all new. But I will tell you, the bulk of the people that I have run into are pleased with the cans. And I do understand the frustration with the elderly, and I do sympathize with them, and we are going to work with them. But it's like anything else. We've got to get it initially out there, get everything logged in. There are people that have asked, can I get another can? The answer is yes to that. There'll be a cost to that they will pay. It's still the city's can. What I want to caution them about, already making quick judgment, this 96 gallon is too much. Think about holidays, think about family gatherings, where you're going to have more to put that in. So, again, we're well aware of this. And every community that Mr. Barrett has talked to has gone, these are growing pains on a new program. But I can tell you this, every city that has gone to this, I've had a chance to show a lot of citizens videotape how easy this is, how quick it is. And that's what this is all about, is more efficiency with our sanitation people. When you sit and look, what has caused garbage to go all around Pleasant Heights, Lakeville, other areas. We have people that are non-compliant with the policies. They put their garbage out 3 to 4 days ahead of time. Dogs are going to go through it, animals are going to go through it, then you have garbage all up and down. With these cans, the bags can go in there and sit. And then when it's time to put their can out, they put it out there. I think this will cut down on some of the garbage that is going around all over. It's not going to stop people who don't comply. That's issues we have to do with code enforcement. So please let them know. And again, if they want to know more, have them call me. I had a daughter from Columbus call me about her mother, and I met with her today. And she clearly understands, and she's willing to try to accept the smaller can when we get those in.
Yeah, and I understand that there were just some certain ones that just.
And I understand.
will have to call you, I appreciate it.
Absolutely, thank you.
And a lot of the feedback has been positive.
Good, thank you.
But one other thing about the cans, the bulk items, chairs, people are wanting to know what to do with those. Do we have a remedy for that yet, or still working that out?
Well, we still have the dumpster, the container at the maintenance garage available to our residents also.
Okay. Because I know there's been talk of a program where we tag it, maybe you buy something, but I just didn't know if that was ready to.
We've actually been doing something for several months. What we'd like to do, the residents to do, is if they have a need, simply let us know.
Okay.
And we'll make arrangements to address whatever their individual circumstances are. So all we ask is that they contact us and let us know what their issues are, and we'll make arrangements to address them.
I appreciate it. And one final thing, I'll send you the address tomorrow, Jim, but I've had some complaints, and I've turned them in Oregon and Oxford, specifically on Woodlawn. The complaint is about parking, but more than one non-family, or I'm sorry, more than 2 non-family members living in a residence. It's not being followed up on by the city, so.
Okay.
But I'll send you those addresses tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Timmons. Also under miscellaneous, Mrs. Vaughn.
Yes, I would like to ask if we go into executive session with the focus on personnel for building, sanitation, city manager, law director.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and second that we move into executive session to discuss personnel, city manager, building, sanitation, law director, police department. Mr. Masters, you're comfortable with that motion in the general terms?
Yes.
Roll call.
Mr. Dressel? Mrs. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Timmons?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Loretta?
Aye.
So moved. Motion carried. Immediately following public forum, we will move into the executive session. We have one other signing in under miscellaneous, Mr. Bill Magna.
Yes, Mayor, two things. First off, I'd like to take the time to thank Russell Hunt for volunteering his time and his company's time to do the roundabout. They did a nice job in there. It was a little bit overgrown, and they got in there and they did a nice job. And the second thing I wanted to expand a little bit with Eric on the garbage thing. I have several calls. Most of them were positive. A couple were elderly, trying to figure out. I told them they could get a smaller can, so then they called down, got on the list, and so everything worked out for them. But the one guy, he has a unique house. He had a quadruple bypass. His house is way down over a hill where he lives. Now, what he does with his garbage now, he puts the garbage can in his truck, and the garbage in his truck. He drives to the top of the hill, he takes the garbage can out, and he puts the garbage in the can when they pick it up. So what I told him I said, I'm going to give you the address. I don't want to say it publicly. I'm going to give you the address, and I said, because they're still using that back loader, so I said, they'll continue to pick up the garbage in your regular can, but you want them to contact you?
He did his name.
Okay. And the other thing was, there's an the old garbage can, and I understand the JB Green Team said they're not recyclable, but on the bottom of the garbage can, it says recyclable on some of the cans. So I don't know, is there something we can do? Because I hate to send that amount of garbage cans to a landfill that our great-grandchildren will still be able to stand.
You talked to JB?
I did not, but somebody had sent an email, that somebody had
I
contact.
saw that, yeah, JP Green Team actually said that, yeah, we could.
I think it's because of the garbage.
And on the bottom of them, it said, I mean, I don't know if all of them are like that, but if it says recyclable, we should be able to recycle it. Because we're gonna have a lot of garbage cans floating around.
What I'll do, Bob, is one, I'll check with JB Green Team specifically on that. If they say they can't do it, there's gotta be somebody that can pick up. And what we'll set up is an actual day in the city. It may take 2 days and find out who can pick up all this plastic.
But I put one of them in that big can today, but I said, that's bad. I mean, I didn't like doing it because it's just bad. It's bad for the environment to throw that many cans into the thing. And the last thing about garbage that I had was, I got a couple calls about this too, was grass clippings. Now, I contacted a couple communities. They don't have to bag their grass clippings. They can just put them in the can. If you bag the grass clippings with that 96-gallon can, for 4 or 5 months, you're not going to have a whole lot of room in there for garbage. So if you get 2 cans, then you get 2 of those cans hanging around for the rest of the winter. But if we could check with some other communities, because I don't understand really the concept of the grass clippings having to be in a bag. If we could just check and see if there is, why other communities don't do it, and we could maybe.
I'll let Bob answer. There's an answer to that question.
Mr. Beard, it's simply a recommendation in the guideline in the resident's best interest. If the resident chooses to not bag their grass clippings, that's fine by us. We don't care if it's in a can. The reason that statement is made is it's in the resident's best interest. If grass is placed in a can that's not bagged, especially if it's damp, it's going to cling to the side of the can. It's going to start to stick and accumulate in the bottom of the can. That will eventually lead to odors. It's so bagging the waste, whatever it is, whether it's your household waste or your grass clippings, whatever, is simply a measure to help keep the can clean, which in turn keeps the can as odor-free as possible, which is a nicer can to have at your home. We understand, if residents are going to throw away what they throw away, the way they choose to throw it away, and that's on them, that's okay. We're requesting that it be in the can.
Well, it's like you said, those are guidelines, well, and I know, they asked about cardboard, they don't want you to put much cardboard in the bag.
That's fine.
Stick it inside, however you want to get in, they're not going to inside, that's what guidelines are, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had the same question about trimmings, be it hedge trimmings or branches or what have you.
Okay.
It's just it's a suggestion to help keep the can as clean as possible and therefore as odor-free as possible.
Okay, thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman, and thank you, Mr. Beer. Before we leave that particular subject, maybe we should reiterate just a couple of the simple rules. First of all, the cans that were distributed has an ID number on it. That ID number is associated with your water bill. I had people, because I was acting city manager, call me up. They didn't receive it. However, the neighbor down the street really doesn't want it, so I'm going to go get that one. There was a duplex together. They want to switch the cans and all. It's important that the can that was left and identified to your structure stays with your structure. That's how we identify that can and where it belongs, in case it ever comes up missing. There was also a little confusion on the bagging of the materials and the grass clippings and all, and we clarified that. But the other out there is about an additional bag system that the city was going to purchase bags with the city logo. Let me remind you that until action is taken by this council, there's a lot of alternatives and a lot of strategy and a lot of opinions at committee meetings. And during a committee meeting, probably on 2 occasions, there was some discussion about yard waste, possibly purchasing bags, possibly getting stickers for additional bags that people may purchase, stick it on there for a small, minimal fee, what have you. I believe we will not be providing bags. Is that correct, Mr. Beard? For sale or bags to our citizens. And right now, we haven't decided affirmatively on if we're going to have stickers for additional waste. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Or can you explain that?
Yeah, we clearly we're in transition. As the city manager said, this is going to take some time. I'd like to reassure all members of the public that please don't be concerned. We are going to we're implementing the carts. We understand that there's unique conditions or circumstances in some people's homes or households, and we're happy to address those. Right now, we're again in the process of rolling out the cans. We have multiple requests for additional cans, which we will be addressing. We have multiple requests for swapping or smaller cans in lieu of the large can, which we're happy to address. And then we have questions that have come up tonight regarding, I put them in the category of, I have a circumstance. I have a certain situation and I need some help solving. And again, all we ask is that we be made aware of it. We're happy to address it. I think it's important to remember that everybody's has been putting their trash out for years, and they can continue to do that. In this transition period, as the new cans go out into service, if we see additional bags, if we see additional waste during this period, we're happy to collect it. That's going to continue. So nothing changes in that regard. As we move forward and determine on how other things go and see how things are happening, we will address those issues as they come up. But our goal right now is to make it as easy and simple as possible. The trash still goes out in the same place on the same day. Whatever you've been throwing out, you can continue to throw out. We're just trying to get it under control, get it in a container, and And, you know, we're accommodating all cases throughout this period, and cross those bridges when we come.
And hopefully when the leaves start falling, is where we'll probably need those additional capacity of bags and all, we'll have some of those questions resolved by then. Mr. Beard, Mr. Mavromatis, and to our law director, last week, City Council, I believe it was Mr. Johnson, or request of Mr. Timmons, asked for the review of Section 951 of the Codified Ordinances, which deals with the sanitation department and the requirements. I did not have an opportunity last week to do that review, so Mr. Mavromatis, if you would review that section, there's probably some changes since we have a new system for the sanitation department and the rate structure and all of Section 951 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Steubenville. Okay. That's all you had, Mr. Bill.
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
That will conclude the miscellaneous reports from the members of council. We will now move into public forum. Is there anyone wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Frank Claver, 3975 Argonne. Hey, I was just curious, is it still on agenda, the guardrail across from JC's, or Eastern Gateway, if they were going to still replace that? It looks like heck.
I believe that's under the engineering department, Your Honor, and the city engineer's not here this evening, so I don't know.
I brought it up before, and they said,
Mr. Claver, let us get back to you or next week.
and one other question, paint, where do you dispose of old paint cans?
The JV Green Team has a hazardous waste pickup, I believe at least once a year, maybe twice a year. Usually it's at the Fort Steuben Mall parking lot. However, Mr. Mavromatis, you saw on that board, are you aware of their hazardous pickup?
I'll have to check that.
We'll have to check, but you can also call the Jefferson Belmont Solid Waste Authority or JV Green Team, or we'll find out the offices as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Patrick McLaughlin, 407 Colonial Drive, Steubenville, Ohio. The reason I'm here, I gave audience a paper. It was sent to my mother by the city of Steubenville regarding these hazardous boulders and iron pins located on her property. My mother was told that she had to remove the hazardous boulders and iron pins, or the city of Steubenville was going to remove them for her and charge her if she did not remove them. If these boulders are hazardous on my mother's property, are they hazardous on other people's property? That question is to you, Costa.
I don't know. All I know is I believe that the letter that went to Rapella Center in 2016 stated that it was on our right of way and they needed to use it.
Okay. Now, if you flip that page to the last page, are those boulders located on a city right of way?
I don't know where these pictures are taken from, but let's assume that they are. And if they are, if it's the policy that our right of way has to be unobstructed, then that's the policy.
So the answer to that question would be yes. They are in the city's right of way.
I don't know if they are or not. I don't know where these pictures are from. I have no idea. I will assume that they are. We'll just assume that they are. And if they are, I think our policy is, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is, that if they're on a right of way and they are an obstruction and or a hazard, I'm assuming, they have to be removed.
So the next question is, other than my mother, how many houses have been sent letters to explain to the hazards of these items being in the right of way that have to be removed?
Mayor, you want me to answer that?
Mr. Mavromatis.
Since I've been here, there's only been one, and that was based on a complaint.
Okay.
And that's normally how the city gets involved. That is our right of way. I can tell you, if we had to go on these properties that are pictured here, we would dig that all up, and the only thing that would go back is grass. And that is at the responsibility of the homeowner. So again, we respond to complaints that come, and if it's in our right of way and we check that it is a hazard, and in that particular case it was, so they were asked to remove them. And they did, they complied. It still did not stop the issue of a car pulling up and opening its car door, because it couldn't. But that's the terrain of the land, because you could go right down to the next property, the same thing. You pull up, open the door, and it stops right in the grass. But the issue with the steel rods being in there and the kids riding bikes up and down, that is a problem. And I understand why the rods were there. They were trying to keep the boulders from sliding down off the river rock. And it was tied, I think, at that time with fishing line. So again, they complied, and that was the end of it. To my knowledge, we've had no other complaints about boulders in this city, and that's why.
There's probably 1,000 homes that do have them. I'm now complaining about every property that has these. So that's why I gave all of you one. It's going to affect all your wards. If these are a hazard on my mother's property in the right of way, they're a hazard on everybody. And if this city is going to allow these hazards to exist in our city, shame on this city. If it's not right for my mother, it's not right for any other property owner that has these on their property. And I think we can all agree to that. If we're going to pick and choose who we pick on, shame on the city. But if it's declared a hazard on one person's property, it's a hazard on someone else's. Willie Paul, you said it best when you stood up last week and said you're tired of bullshit. So am I. If it's right for somebody, it's right for everybody. If it's wrong for somebody, it's wrong for everybody. And I expect the city to do the right thing. Jim, I've sent you photographs and addresses. As of right now, I have over 200 all ready for you. And I'll give them to you. And I'll keep touch with you on, make sure these letters are getting sent out, or these things will be removed. I do not want to live in a city that's full of hazards. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to city council or city business? Please come forward, state their name and address.
Marlene Poderski, 31.
Since you're small, I know you're mighty, but would you please come up so the clerk can also have it recorded in the microphone?
Marlene Poderski, 3113 Portland Boulevard. Since we're talking about garbage, I just want to ask, I know that JP Green Team has those recyclables throughout the city. The ones on Jeff Tech, the ones at Holy Rosary, the ones at Central are so full all the time. Now, we're talking about getting the garbage cans to eliminate the animals or whatever going into the garbage, and the garbage is scattered throughout the city. That's what's happening on Sunset. At Jeff Tech, those bins are so full, you can't close the lid. When we get a windy day, it's in everybody's yard. Same thing with Holy Rosary, same thing with Central. I don't know where they are, the rest of the cities, but I know those three because that's kind of in the area we live. I don't know how often they pick up. Is there any way to find out and get them, pulled more often? But it's not doing its purpose.
We could find that out. Our representative on the Solid Waste Commission, the JD Green Team, is Mr. Mathematics. By law, the Ohio Revised Code in their bylaws calls that the CBO officer of the largest municipality, which is the city of Steubenville, serves on the board. So he could find out some of those details. But I may want to ask City Council that maybe in the future at one of the committee meetings when appropriate to ask the Executive Director, Anita Petrella, to attend one of our meetings because I understand they're also bringing back the grant program and ask her to explain that grant program and maybe answer some of our concerns. And not to say that we're going to date you, Marlene, but it's Eastern Gateway Community College, not Mr. Paul.
There is a website that JD Green Team does have, and that's where I find out a lot of the, you guys have questions, that's how I find out when the hazardous waste pickup is with Frank. I mean, very good. You can go look at that website, it'll tell you a lot of information.
I've seen like the hazardous waste and that, but I've never seen anything for those specific bins.
Locations. Yes. Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council or City Business? Please come forward, state their name and address.
Dolores Williams, 16 Pleasant State Street, Steubenville. I'm concerned about something that was brought up about 2 months ago by my city, by Councilman Mike Johnson. Mr. McManus, you mentioned something about those restrooms there, but be closed up, something about if he received the keys to it.
Yes.
It's getting worse. A young boy, looks to be about 15 or 16. He went in there this past Thursday inside the restroom. Shortly after, about 5 to 7 minutes, a young girl came in at Mr. Lawson. One of the neighbors went over and chased him out. So we don't know what was going on in there, but it's bad. It's not fair to the neighbors. They go in there, they smoke their pot, smoke whatever they want to, and do what they want to do. But restrooms stay open all night and all day. Particularly all night. If the neighbors sitting on the porch or coming out, you put the garbage in, they can see the traffic going in and out of those restrooms. So I'm just interested, have you received the keys yet?
Keys have been distributed this week, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I guess the only question that I would ask you, ma'am, is that when this happened, did you call the police at that time to have a car to respond? No. Did you?
Did I?
What you observed, did you call the police department then to respond?
My neighbor did, I did.
Okay. Well, the chief will look at that, but you know what time this was on Thursday?
Between 9 and 9:30.
Well, we have a day and we have a time, we can go to the log sheet to find out if she called.
Okay, so the keys are in, so they're not, are they being locked up?
Again,
They're not.
the chief will have to check with the turn captains because they were issued every turn a set of keys to the bathrooms.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that's it.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address. If not, I will ask
I got
Council
one other thing I
Chambers.
want to say. It's a positive note. On August 2nd, approximately 11:30, I was leaving work. And I got to the top of the hill, right by Bob Evans in the bank there, and there was a horrific car crash. I don't know if you guys saw it, it was basically head on head. And I was going to get out of my car to go check on people. But first, the Steubenville Fire Department arrived. And the men jumped off of their truck and ran these vehicles, checked on these people. There was infant children in these vehicles in car seats. Carlo, you guys did a great job. Next to arrive was the Steubenville Police Department. Chief McCafferty, your officers also did a wonderful job. Hopped out of their cars, checking on everybody and making sure everybody was secure. Last that was there was the ambulance. They might have been on other duties, I don't know what they were doing. But I just want to thank you, Chief McCafferty, Chief McCall, City Manager Jim Evermattis. To our safety forces, they do a great job protecting and serving us every day. And in the future, I would love to see us get an ambulance for the fire department. I know a lot of times, just like the other day, we had an emergency up here at the county building. We got Pleasant Hills from up on 213, their ambulance was out here. If that would have been the case, when that car crash happened at the top of the hill, with the children being involved, we're waiting on ambulances from a volunteer fire department. You look forward to wait a half hour to 45 minutes for an ambulance to get there. Thank you guys so much for your service, I appreciate it.
Thank you. At this time, I will ask the council chambers to be cleared, and we're moving into an executive session. Thank you for attending tonight's council.